I caught my coworker deliberately ruining my projects on camera. His explanation about our past interview made me question my character. For context, I have been working at the same tech company for almost 5 years now. I'm not trying to brag, but I've always been a reliable employee with a solid track record. My performance reviews were consistently positive, and I was even being considered for a promotion to team lead. That is, until about 6 months ago when things started going sideways. It began with small things. Files missing from my presentations. Data that I had double-checked suddenly containing errors. Code that worked perfectly fine on Friday somehow breaking by Monday morning. At first, I chalked it up to technical glitches or my own oversight. We all make mistakes, right? But as weeks passed, the pattern became impossible to ignore. These accidents only happened to my projects, and they always occurred at the most critical moments, right before client presentations or important deadlines. My reputation started taking hits. My boss began giving me concerned looks during meetings. Colleagues who used to seek my advice were now double-checking my work. Maybe you're just overworked, my wife suggested one night after I spent hours redoing a report that had mysteriously lost its formatting. I knew it wasn't that. Something deliberate was happening, and I was determined to find out what. The breaking point came when I lost an entire project proposal the night before it was due. I had saved multiple backups, but somehow all versions were corrupted. I stayed up all night recreating it from memory, fueled by coffee and pure rage. The next day, after submitting the proposal with bloodshot eyes, I decided enough was enough. I needed proof. I installed a small camera at my workstation, carefully positioned to capture my desk and computer while remaining hidden behind a plant. I also installed tracking software on my computer that would log all activities. It felt extreme, even paranoid, but I was desperate. For a week, nothing happened. I was beginning to think I really was losing my mind. Then on Thursday, I had to leave early for a dentist appointment. When I checked the footage the next morning, my blood ran cold. There he was, the quiet guy from the adjacent department who always smiled politely in the hallway. The one who occasionally joined our team for lunch, but rarely spoke. He waited until the office was nearly empty, casually walked to my desk, sat down, and began systematically going through my files. He deleted sections of my code, altered spreadsheet data, and even accessed my email to delete important messages. I watched the footage 3 times, my hands shaking with a mixture of vindication and fury. I wasn't crazy. Someone really was sabotaging me. I considered going straight to HR, but something held me back. I wanted to understand why. What had I ever done to this person? We barely interacted. So I confronted him. I asked him to meet me in a conference room, claiming I needed help with the project. When we were alone, I placed my laptop on the table and played the footage. His face drained of color. He didn't deny it or try to run. Instead, he just sat there, shoulders slumped, looking defeated. Why? I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. What did I ever do to you? His explanation left me speechless. You don't remember me, do you? He asked quietly. I stared at him blankly. 7 years ago, I interviewed for a position at Nexus Systems. You were on the panel. I vaguely recalled working at Nexus before joining my current company, but I interviewed dozens of candidates during my time there. You told them not to hire me, he continued. You said I lacked experience and creativity. That rejection set my career back years. I felt a chill. I had no recollection of this, but it wasn't impossible. So this is revenge? I asked, incredulous. You've been systematically destroying my work because of a job interview 7 years ago. He shook his head slowly. It's not that simple. When I saw you here on my first day, I recognized you immediately. I was going to introduce myself, maybe even joke about the past. But then I overheard you in the break room, talking about another candidate you had just interviewed for your team. My stomach dropped as he continued. You were laughing, saying how this guy was so nervous he could barely string 2 sentences together. How his portfolio was amateur hour. It was like hearing my own interview all over again. You hadn't changed at all. I remembered that conversation. It was just break room banter, blowing off steam after a long day of interviews. I never imagined the candidate would hear about it. So you decided to ruin my career? I asked. I just wanted you to know what it feels like, he said quietly. To have your competence questioned. To doubt yourself. To wonder if you're good enough. I sat there, stunned into silence. Part of me wanted to march straight to HR and have him fired on the spot. But another part, a part one wasn't entirely comfortable with, understood his pain. Had I really been so callous? So carelessly cruel in my assessments of others? The thought made me sick. I have all the evidence I need to get you terminated, I said finally. He nodded, resigned. I know. What happened next surprised even me. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since the confrontation, and I'm still processing everything. Many of you asked what I did after our conversation. So here's what happened. I didn't go to HR, at least not immediately. Instead, I asked him to meet me again the following day. I needed time to think. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying his words in my head. Had I really been that person? The kind who would casually dismiss someone's career aspirations over a single interview? The kind who would mock candidates behind their backs? The uncomfortable truth was that yes, I probably had been that person. Not maliciously, but carelessly. I had been on dozens of interview panels and never once considered the real impact my words might have on the people sitting across from me. When we met again, I laid out my terms. He would stop all sabotage immediately, and he would help me fix everything he had damaged. In return, I wouldn't report him, yet. Why? He asked, clearly suspicious. Because I want to understand, I replied honestly. And because maybe we both need to learn something here. Over the next week, we stayed late after work, repairing the damage to my projects. It was awkward at first, working alongside someone who had deliberately tried to ruin me. But gradually, something unexpected happened. As we worked, we talked. He told me about his struggle to find work after the Nexus rejection, about moving back in with his parents at 30, about the depression that followed. I shared my own career setbacks, the mistakes I'd made, the times I'd been unfairly judged. I'm not excusing what I did, he said one evening as we finished restoring my database. It was wrong, and I'm sorry. What you did was inexcusable, I agreed. But my behavior wasn't much better. Different, but not better. By the end of the week, my projects were back on track. My boss even commented on the remarkable improvement in my work. Little did she know, I still haven't decided what to do long-term. Part of me thinks he should face consequences for his actions. Another part wonders if there's a better way forward. Update 2. It's been a month now, and things have taken an unexpected turn. After much consideration, I did go to HR, but not with the story you might expect. I didn't mention the sabotage. Instead, I reported myself for unprofessional conduct during interviews and requested formal training on fair evaluation practices. The HR director was surprised but appreciative of my self-awareness. Most people don't recognize these biases in themselves, she said. This led to a company-wide initiative to revamp the interview process, with me volunteering to help develop new guidelines. Ironically, my former saboteur also joined the committee when it was open to other departments. Working together in an official capacity has been strange but oddly productive. He brings perspectives I never considered, particularly about how rejection impacts candidates and how feedback should be delivered. We're not friends. I don't think we ever will be, but we've reached a kind of understanding. He apologized again, more formally this time, and I accepted it. I also apologized for my role in creating the situation, for being the kind of interviewer who would dismiss someone's potential so casually. My projects are back on track, and I'm being considered for that promotion again. But more importantly, I've become more mindful of how my words and actions affect others. I'm less quick to judge, more careful with my assessments. As for him, he's actually doing well in his role. Once he stopped focusing on sabotaging me, his own work improved significantly. His manager has noticed. Sometimes I still check my files for tampering. Old habits die hard. But mostly, I've moved on. This experience taught me something valuable about accountability, forgiveness, and the long-lasting impact we can have on others' lives, often without realizing it. I never expected to feel grateful to someone who tried to destroy my career, but in a strange way, I am. He held up a mirror I needed to see, even if his methods were inexcusable. Life is complicated, and people are even more so. Sometimes the villain in someone else's story is you. And sometimes, just sometimes, there's a way forward that doesn't involve more destruction. I don't know if this is the end of our story or just a new chapter, but I'm choosing to believe that people can change, myself included.